Hi everyone, this is Tim with Bike Rally Photography. I'm going to be showing you today how to replace the sky in a photograph. It's something that a lot of people like to know how to do, and found a really easy way to do it, and I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to be using Photoshop CS4, but this principle or this technique can be actually used, I think, all the way back to the very earliest versions has this capability. But it's something that very few people use. I know it was something that I never really used up until recently, and once I found out about it and started using it, love it. So I'm going to be using a photograph I took here of this waterfall, and then I also have another photograph of a sky, and this is going to be the sky that we're going to be replacing for this pretty blown out sky here, overcast day, not much going on, so we want to add a little interest to this photograph. So the first thing we need to do is to take the sky here and copy it over on top of the waterfall picture here, and in CS4 it's just a matter of clicking on that, holding the mouse down, then taking the pointer over to the photograph you want to add it into, and then once you get it over there you can just release the mouse and it'll paste it in. If you hold down on the shift key, it'll paste it in the same place that it was in the previous picture. So I'm going to hold down the shift key before I release here, and what we get is a new layer over here with this sky. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is we're going to make a duplicate of the background, or the original photograph that we want to make a copy or put the sky into. So right now I've got two different copies, very same thing, and I'm going to move that one copy to the top of the sky picture here. Now this is the amazing thing. If we were going to replace the sky and have to somehow select out around every one of these trees and leaves and everything, it'd be nearly impossible. But I can do this within a few seconds with this technique that I'm going to show you. And the way you do it is you double click on your top photograph here that you want to replace the sky that we made a copy of. You double click on it and it brings up the blending options, and down here you have an option called Blend If, and if we take the slider on the very top slider here and we move it to the left, what you see is that the photograph underneath it begins to show through. And what we're doing here is we're just telling Photoshop that if the gray color is above the pointer here, or if it's lighter, we want it to show through. And so what we're doing here is, if this color right here is kind of a light gray, as we move down past that to a darker, it starts to show through. So that's what we're doing here, is we're taking and letting the Blend If option actually, what you might say, create a mask for us. Let me click OK on this for a second and we can zoom in here, and you can see it's done a great job of just isolating these trees and just letting the photograph or the sky come through. If the transition is a little too harsh or too rough, what you can do is, once you have the pointer on the little triangle here, if you hold down the Alt key, that separates that triangle and you can actually move it back, and it gives a transition between these different colors. It kind of softens the transition. You can see right up here we've got some fringing going on, so We're going to take this on down to where we get rid of that pretty much. And if we take the other slider and move it down, we have a very large transition here, which gives us a nice smooth you don't see any harsh edges there on the trees, and that looks very natural. Looks like it was the original. Let's back out on this a little bit. Okay. Now obviously we've got some problems down here where the water was the same color as the sky. Since we moved that down, we're also seeing sky through there. The way to get around that is we can either merge down and combine these two photographs, or we can actually combine them in a new layer, which we will do here in just a second. But first I got to get rid of these power lines, and if we just click on the underlying photograph there, we can take this, move it up, and we'll position this just the way we want it here. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Click on the top layer again, and now you'll go over to your keyboard and hold down Control-Alt-Shift or Control-Option-Shift, I believe it is on a Mac, and then hit the E key. And what that does is makes a copy of everything that you're seeing right now and puts it in a new layer. Now if we turn these two layers off underneath, what we can do is come up here, choose our selection tool here, and we make a very rough mask. All we're doing is just getting the waterfall out of here. And then if we choose the mask down here, it's the rectangle with the circle in it, and hit that. Let's undo that, and I'll show you a better way to do that. If you we've got this selected down here, we could have selected the sky, but since we've got our white and black here, if that doesn't work out, what you do is you can undo it and then just hold down your Alt key, and that will reverse your mask so that you're masking out this bottom part here. So there you have it. In a few seconds, really, we've taken what sometimes can be a very complex masking problem and created a nice sky to go along with this photograph. So we started out with this, we have this now. Alright, hope that helped you out. This is Tim with Bike Rally Photography. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you learned something.